Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mannschrecks. I'm you.
I'm you.
I'm
Sarah.
JJ.
I'm Sarah. We can't just like start the show normal. You know,
I
there's
know.
just no
Sorry, because we always
it.
overthink it.
No, we do, and it's like it's just us, right? We're not one of those big shows. We don't have to do some big intro or whatever. It's just us doing our thing that we always do. I actually enjoyed the phrase you came up with last week, the Quirky Comedy Quips.
From a couple of Christians. That was bad.
Quirky Comedy Quips from a couple of Christians.
The Christian part bears no weight on our conversation whatsoever.
This is why we don't get invited to parties.
I'm the reason we don't get invited to parties.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm actually really excited. Tonight's going to be super fun. I mean, today's episode, because it's live.
Yeah,
no,
live.
It's not. You guys
No one
know
would
it's
listen to
not.
us
This
live.
is our show. Kids are in bed, and now we get to do this fun thing that we do every week where we tell these goofy stories. And actually, I'm excited about our topic tonight. So, all right. So, are you ready to approach the news desk?
I am.
Bring it on.
All right, so my first story is a contractor finds a World War II grenade hidden behind a wall while remodeling a bathroom in Seattle.
This is pulling on my memory. Is this an old story? Have we done
Says
this
it
story?
was published in January 19, 2024.
What? Wow. Okay. So there was a grenade.
So a contractor recently came across a historic discovery as he was renovating a client's bathroom in Seattle, Washington.
That's terrifying.
So, Vadim Kharkavi, who works with Polar Bear Construction, was ripping out a bathtub when he saw a grenade, quote, between the studs. My first thought was, I got to get out of here. I rushed out, took a breath, and actually went back in and recorded the situation. I zoomed in on my phone and took a closer peek. He's like, that's a actual freaking grenade.
I'd be bugging out too.
He said he's been working in the construction business for 10 years and will sometimes find things inside walls or under floors like magazines or newspapers.
Oh, sure.
When he realized this item was explosive, things got serious. I got a little bit frightened and put the tub down and ran out of the room and just gave it about 5 minutes just in case. I didn't know if I set something off.
Did I jostle it?
Right, that's what he says. I didn't know if I set something off or bumped it.
It's a booby-trapped wall.
The Seattle police and bomb squad were called to the scene, and it was determined that the device was not a live grenade.
What an insane way to get a construction project behind schedule.
Oh my gosh.
We had to take a day off to call in the bomb squad.
Yeah, in your bathroom of all things.
Well, and I got to imagine, I'm imagining a remodel on a bathroom, right? So you let's say you're going to rip out some drywall or pop the tub out or whatever. You're taking a hammer to the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like
There's a lot of
rip this
pressure,
piece off.
yeah.
And so what are the odds you accidentally swing?
Right.
And
So rightfully so, he was freaked out, and so he left the scene.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
But apparently it was hidden in the wall through a compartment that a person could access underneath the bathtub and through a closet which was on the opposite side of the bathroom wall.
I gotcha.
So even if you open that compartment, you still would not know it's there. You wouldn't have known if you put your head in there because everything is so tight with all the electrical and plumbing. So somebody had to know that it was in there because of the way they reached in.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. So, oh my gosh. You know what the other story was? There was a grandma who was selling her husband's stuff in a garage sale. And she had grenades and she didn't know.
Yes.
And she actually sold a couple of them.
Yep, and found out they were live. She
and
sold to that 7-year-old kid.
Yeah, and they had to track it
right.
down.
That's right.
That was the other story. That's what I was thinking.
They were
of.
landmines.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Undeployed mines, but still, it's terrifying.
Why are civilians allowed to have this
why
stuff?
do we have these things? The man says he lost 3 hours of work after he found the hidden grenade.
That's
so there
actually
you go.
pretty good.
Yeah, I
for
know.
bomb
Because
squad.
they had to call the bomb squad, but I'm surprised that they were able to figure that out that fast.
Time.
Yeah.
Man.
I wish our justice system worked that fast. Whether it's a bomb, whether it's a grenade, it's explosive. I have kids and a wife at home, so I'd rather play it safe than sorry.
Valid. Absolutely valid.
Oh my gosh. The Seattle police told him that World War II veterans brought weapons with them as they returned home from combat, and someone may have stored it there and forgotten about it.
You don't store stuff in your walls.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just a crazy story of...
It's like something out of a spy movie. You know, you've never seen the movie John Wick, but there's a part where he used to be an assassin, and then he goes back to that life, and he has to dig up. It's buried in his basement, and he's like, I gotta dig up my old case of guns, you know, and
so bizarre.
That kind of thing. And I mean, I know people who came back from the war and they took their stuff and buried it or whatever, but to stick it in the wall, the explosive part, that's different than your uniform or your medals or
very,
your flag or whatever.
Very different. So.
That's really cool.
Beware what could be hiding in your walls.
My story is so much less serious. It's a different kind of bomb.
Okay.
Dog DNA detectives trace owners not scooping the poop in the Italian province.
Ew. Gross.
I love it so much. Okay, so there's a place in Italy where dog poop on the streets and on the sidewalks is so pervasive that they are now creating a database of dogs to match DNA tests. Like, there's poop on the sidewalk, they're going to get a DNA sample of it and then track down the owner and find them.
Who has that kind of time? That's disgusting.
Turn into DNA tests to tackle the scourge of dog mess on the streets. Once a dog DNA registration database is up and running, street cleaners and health officials in Bolzano will be able to collect abandoned poop, have it genetically tested, and then trace the owners, who will face a fine of $54 to $540. So you could get like...
I honestly don't understand the people that let their dogs poop on sidewalks and in streets anyway. Like, it's just a bummer to be walking down a sidewalk and like there's dog poop on the sidewalk. It's
if
like,
you have a dog, you have to clean it up. Like, that's the rule. Any owner who refuses the DNA profiling of their dog will face fines up to €1,000, which is like $1,100 or something like that. So you could get... It's like, if you refuse to put your dog in the database, you get fined. And then if you put your dog in the database and then you get caught not picking up their mess. The provincial government, covering Bolzano City and surrounding towns in the picturesque Dolomites region, is creating a database for almost 40,000 dogs in the area. There's a veterinary department director. They already have 10,000. So they're about 25% done with this database.
That's crazy.
They get a couple hundred complaints a year from citizens about improper management. More than half are for dogs. And so...
Wow. That's disgusting.
Apparently, before this database, the only way to catch him was if a cop was standing there. You have to, like, catch him in the act or stake out a place. And
can you imagine the person that has to go around, like, sampling the poop to try to figure out who's, like, what a crappy job.
I think you're absolutely right, though, because the cost is a problem. You know,
that seems like a huge waste of resources.
Yeah, owners are expected to have blood tests for their dogs, with a cost ranging from 65 to over €100. So the owners have to foot the bill for the blood test. But then he did not give an estimated cost for the project. Detection and administration expenses expected to be covered from the fines. So they're hoping that, like, this would not be an expense for the city. It'll be a wash, because if you get caught, we find out who you are, and then you have to pay for everything. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a German-speaking province near Austria, but it's in Italy. It has wide autonomy in making its rules. Other Italian cities have been in touch to potentially replicate the law.
Wow, that's so bizarre.
I feel like, on the one hand, it's amazing. Like, wow, okay, there you go. That's one way to handle... Because I do get annoyed. I'm like, if that... Right. You ever see it happen? Yep. You, like, watch a guy walk by with his dog, and the dog poops, and he just walks away from it.
I hate that.
And it's like, oh, I wish there was someone to catch him doing that. You know?
My gosh, yeah. It's just obnoxious.
Yeah. And then it's like, all right, so here we go. We have a system now. And you could just say, hey, here's some poop. Here's the sample. But then, on the other hand, we're getting to a place where, like, everything is categorized and everything is in the computer system, and that makes me leery. I'm like, I want some things to be mysterious. And dog poop.
Dog poop.
Dog poop's one of those I'm okay leaving mysterious. Well, you know, it's like, I mean, how close are we to having, like, every human must be registered into the blood database so that we know who you know, and it's like...
Just don't poop on the sidewalk, then.
Well, fine. I guess I have to stop pooping on the sidewalk.
So.
Nice pun, and I caught it even in the moment.
You did. You'll catch all the other ones later when you listen again.
I do. That's one of the things I've realized doing this podcast is that I'm not as good a listener as I think. Like, sometimes you make a joke and I do not catch it. I just, like, steamroll past it. Yeah, and so when I'm editing the podcast and going back through, it's like, oh, look, she was being clever there and I didn't even see it.
That's most of my life. No one recognizes how clever I actually am.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think a normal person would catch it. Like, other people would, but I'm just dense. I think.
No worries.
I just don't catch it. All right, what else you got?
My next story is a yogurt company offers a $10,000 for a 1-month digital detox. So a yogurt company is offering to pay $10,000 to participants who complete a month-long digital detox with their phone locked in a box. I think that's such a great idea. I know. Yeah. I would be totally fine with that.
I do a lot on my phone, but I just would post the first day and say, hey, everybody, gone for a month. A month is not even that long.
So Siggy's Dairy says that it will pay $10,000 to participants willing to give up their phones. The program is inspired by Dry January, which everybody kind of does where they don't drink during January.
I did not know about that.
It's apparently a thing. I had never heard of it before this year. It was like something that I've
heard, but I thought it was like October or something.
I don't know. It
Dry
says
January, okay.
So inspired by Dry January, this program is accepting applications through January 31st. So you can still apply.
Yeah.
10 people will be selected for the digital detox and will have to keep their smartphones secured for 1 month in a lockbox provided by the company.
Hey, bring on.
We believe in the power of living a simpler life with fewer distractions. One of the biggest distractions in our lives today is our phone. In fact, the average person spends 5.4 hours on their phones each day. That's horrifying.
I bet I do even more than that.
Well, because you do work from your phone.
Yeah, I do a ton of stuff on my phone.
Selected winners who complete the program will receive $10,000, a phone lockbox, a good old-fashioned flip phone with 1 month prepaid SIM card,
nice.
and a 3-month supply of yogurt. I would totally do this.
Dude,
I would
this
totally
is awesome.
do this.
Can I sign up for this?
I know.
Like, this is not a
you
hardship.
can apply. It says you can until the 31st.
I'm going to have you send me that link because
it's crazy. So this is something that you could jump in on, and I kind of want a 3-month supply of yogurt. That sounds great. And anytime I don't want to be bothered by my phone, I'll just shove it in the lockbox.
Yeah, they say a lot. It's a yogurt company.
Mm-hmm. Siggy's.
Like so, yogurt or frozen yogurt?
No. It's a company that makes Icelandic style yogurt. So it's like a thicker, like
Greek
skyr.
Yogurt,
like really high quality, like good yogurt.
Interesting. I don't like yogurt that
Siggy's,
much.
Siggis. It's a dairy.
I think I've seen that brand.
Yeah. They sell it at most grocery stores. But yeah, they're doing this. I just think it's such
amazing.
a random thing for a yogurt company to do, but I actually really like that concept, and I think it's really cool.
This is beautiful.
It is. It's a return to simpler life where we're not distracted by ridiculous smartphones.
Oh, but that's so good.
Yeah,
I like
it is.
That a lot.
It's an inspirational idea. So I thought it was cool.
Man, yeah, really. I'm like thinking, I'm stewing on it. I'm like, yeah, I can totally do that. Yeah, let's get this phone locked up for a month.
Yep.
That would be $10,000. Now, is it if you do it, you get the $10,000, or you're entered to win the $10,000?
It says the selected winners who complete the program will receive $10,000.
Dude.
A phone, lockbox, flip phone with a 1 month prepaid SIM card and a 3-month supply of yogurt.
Our boys love yogurt.
They do.
We
that
have
could be
to
really
do this.
beneficial.
We have to do this.
That's
Everyone is listening.
option.
Don't do it. Don't compete with us.
We need to win this.
Wow,
so,
that's amazing.
That's happening. You can still sign up for it.
I love it. Traffic cop sues city over get out of jail free cards in New York City. So here's the situation.
Okay.
For one, I did not know that they did this.
I didn't.
When New York cops, when they join the union, are given a little plastic ID card that identifies them, and they are able to give it to friends and family, and these people use them at traffic stops.
What?
And police officers are supposed to then turn a blind eye to the traffic violation.
Wait, what?
This is the thing. This is the thing.
No.
And there's a cop whose name is Matthew Bianchi, which is funny because I actually knew a guy named Matthew Bianchi. Matthew Bianchi is a Staten Island police officer. He's been since 2017. And he thinks that this is a corrupt thing.
Yeah,
and
it
it's
is.
bad. And so he's getting in trouble for people will hand him the little card, the get out of jail free card.
And he cuts it up and throws it on the ground?
No, but he writes him a ticket anyways. And then his boss comes in and says, "Why are you writing tickets for family members of cops? You're not supposed to do that." And he's like, "Because they broke the law, and that's why I did it." And so he got in trouble. So now he is suing the city.
I mean, this is corrupt. This
is fascinating, right? I had no idea this happened. So, all right, let's dive in. 2 years after joining the New York Police Department, he was assigned to enforcing traffic violations and issuing tickets. Just 2 years on the beat, he received stellar performance reviews. But in November 2018, a year into his career in the traffic unit, Bianchi issued a ticket to a civilian who held a New York City Police Department laminated courtesy card, is what they're called. It's an unofficial credential issued to New York NYPD officers based on their union affiliation that can then be distributed to family members and friends to carry with them. a laminated courtesy card.
So it's like the friends and family discount from Gap, except it's not just you get a discount, you get to steal clothing whenever you want to.
It's ridiculous. According to Bianchi, courtesy cards are used to maintain a system of impunity. It's a get-out-of-jail-free card for family and friends of New York City police officers.
That is so wrong.
And they're avoiding traffic tickets, which is a growing source of revenue for the city. He claims that his superiors retaliated against him for his stance against the quote-unquote corrupt cards. He got warned by an official. He got written up. He was warned that he would not be protected by his union if he wrote tickets for people with the cards. And if he continued, he would be reassigned. I see card after card, and you're not allowed to write any of them up. He told the Associated Press. We are not supposed to be showing favoritism when we do car stops, and we shouldn't be giving them out because this guy mows my lawn. I didn't know this was happening. Like this whole
I would be mad too.
system. But then, yeah, it's really...
I just don't understand.
Still, Bianchi continued, ultimately writing up traffic stops in which he, in effect, ignored or questioned courtesy cards carried by fellow cops' family members. In one instance, he issued a ticket for speeding to a woman who had blown through a red light. She still complained about the speeding ticket despite being given a break on the light as a result of her PBA card. So he's like... She flashes her card and he's like, all right, I'm going to write you up for speeding, not blowing through the red light, which was actually way more dangerous. And she's still complaining. And he's like, dude.
Wow.
In the complaint, he claims that the NYPD violated his First Amendment right to speak out as a citizen regarding a matter of extreme public concern, namely, quote, widespread corruption, illegal practices, and the manipulation of issuance of traffic tickets due to the courtesy cards.
Wrong.
Isn't it just, like, fascinating?
I honestly never knew that the kind of thing existed.
He also claims that there is a practice of selective law enforcement. Apparently the area is predominantly white, and so there's also a higher rate of African American, or the officer is Cuban American, and so he's noticed that it skews racially as well. Each police officer determines how to exercise that discretion based on the specifics of each case. Likewise, the PBA does not determine where or how the NYPD deploys its personnel. This is their response. They're saying, they're like,
I see.
It's sole prerogative of NYPD management. We're allowed to do this. Is basically what they're saying.
We do what we want.
So he's alleging a form of bias. He might have a case here. I just appreciate them raising awareness because that's not cool.
No, that's something I agree.
What's really upsetting is that we have family who have been in law enforcement, and I didn't get a courtesy card.
I know, with my courtesy card. Although I don't ever get tickets ever. You, on the other hand, used to get a lot of tickets.
It's been a long time though. I used to get a lot of speeding tickets because
you would try to race back to the UP.
Yeah, when we lived in the UP,
trips.
It's such a long drive, and you get to the UP and they're like the maximum speed. I almost said maximum temperature. The maximum speed in the UP is 65 degrees. 65 miles per hour. Oh my god.
You need to go to sleep.
I do. And so I would go a little faster than that because I want to get home, and I've been driving for hours, and I'm so close to home, and man, they nailed me all the time. North on 75.
My last story is just kind of a nothing story. Kind of small, but it felt appropriate considering that we also just had a newborn.
Love it.
So there was a baby born at the side of a road in New Jersey during a winter storm.
Ooh.
So we all know those side of the road stories.
Yeah,
which, you know, if I was the hospital birther, that would be my story. Is I don't make it in time because I wait too long. So, anyways, a healthy baby girl was born at the side of a New Jersey road with help from a police officer in the midst of a winter storm.
Oh, the police officer got to help? That's awesome.
Officer Christopher Botta responded to the report of a woman in labor at the side of Route 15 near the city's border with Jefferson. So Botta located the vehicle, stopped at the side of the road, made contact with the expecting parents, Tyler and Stephanie. Wow. Officer Botta observed the baby's head crowning and proceeded to ensure the umbilical cord was not wrapped around the baby's neck.
There you go.
He arrives as the baby is crowning. It's like...
That's crazy.
After confirming everything appeared normal, seconds later, Stephanie delivered the baby girl into Officer Botta's hands.
Wow. I wonder... So this has been depicted in many movies and TV shows and whatnot. It's always the women in the back seat and then the police officer standing outside of the car, right, with the door open. But if it's in the middle of a snowstorm, I'm wondering if it was like, scoot over, let me get in here and close the door so I can catch the baby.
I saw this crazy, this is totally unrelated and this is tangential.
I love it.
But I watched this like video. It was like I don't even remember where it popped up, where I saw it. But it was a video of like, the husband was driving. It was very clearly like, it seemed like maybe first time parents or something.
Nice.
But the woman was in the passenger seat. And they're on like, it seems like they live far away from the hospital because it was like a time lapse of a long car drive.
Geez.
And he had like he had the phone like in a thing on the dashboard, but it was tilted so it was facing his wife. And so she was like, it was like filming everything, and she was like very clearly in labor, and she was like, I think I need to push, and she's in the passenger seat.
Right.
And so he was like you can hear him like, okay, do you think we can make it to the hospital in time? He's like, we're only about 15-20 minutes away, and she's like,
nope.
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't know how close I am. And he's like, these contractions seem pretty intense. And she's like, yeah. And so she's like got her like hand on the dashboard, and at one point all of a sudden she's like spread her legs apart, and she was like, I think I might feel a head. And he's like, what? And she's like sitting in the passenger seat, and she just like reaches her hand down, and she's like, yep, there's a head. And all of a sudden, like the next scene is she just like bears down, and all of a sudden she's like, the head is out, and he's like driving. He's like
while driving.
He's like driving. He's still driving the car.
My gosh, I'm pulling
like
the
they're
car
driving
over
the car.
wow.
And I mean, this woman, she literally just like all of a sudden she's like, yep, there's the head, and all of a sudden she just like lifts the baby up and puts it on her chest, and all while the husband is still driving the car. And I was like, yeah,
Mom.
I mean, she just like totally just like, I'm gonna do this while sitting down, and then she just puts the baby on her chest, and they literally like drive up to the hospital at that point. Wow. So it was like, okay, well, we'll go inside and have her baby assessed, like make sure everything's normal.
Oh, that's crazy.
It seemed like a totally like safe birth, but I'm just sitting there thinking about it like, I would not want to have to deliver laying down in the back seat, especially if it was cold out, like in the middle of a storm. Yeah. Like the officer arrives and is like, oh, this woman is having a baby in the back seat. Like, so anyways, I just thought that was crazy. But this story says that the first aid squad arrived on the scene and took the mother and newborn to the Morristown Medical Center.
I'm glad they were able to get there if it was in a snowstorm.
Yes. So it says the officer followed up with the family 2 days later and confirmed mother and baby are healthy and doing well. They named the little girl Millie Wren.
Oh,
Millie is such a cute name.
It is.
It's
a little lady's name.
It is. Little girl, little Millie.
Oh, they got a picture.
Yeah, they got a little picture of her all swaddled up. But I thought that was a cute little story because I was
fantastic.
like, it seemed relevant considering we just had a baby, but not at the side of the road.
No, we had ours just in the bathroom. Home. Yeah, at home. No, no complications.
I thought that was cute. I also like always think about like people I know who are either in like who are EMTs or who are police officers who are either like, I would love to deliver a baby, or who are like, I never ever want to deliver a baby.
Well, that was a little bit our situation. So our midwife was on her way, but you were progressing very quickly. And
we had that conversation of like, I remember you were like, so we might have to do this without her, and I was like, I'm okay with that. Are you? And you were like, yeah, I think so.
I was nervous though. I was definitely like, whew, like I felt like, yes, of course we can.
I was totally like, we could totally do. Once my water broke, and I was like, okay, this is totally fine.
But on the other hand though, like I was nervous. I was like, I would really prefer that she be here.
That's because we had no one else here. You were also trying to wrangle all four boys.
Yeah, I was trying to keep the boys happy and distracted. And
they were just wanting to watch. So.
And I was just kind of like, I really wish she was here. So
she walked in 5 seconds later.
Not that we couldn't have done it, but it was a nerve-wracking thing. Yeah. So.
But it wasn't a police officer that delivered the baby, so that guy he gets to be like, hey, I delivered a baby on the side of the road in a snowstorm.
That's so epic. So, I love
pretty
it.
Cool.
The world. One of the phrases, and I never use it when I talk to you, but I use it when I like post stuff on the podcast. The world continues to be weird, and we continue to be here to tell you about it. Like that's the phrase I use all the time.
So that's accurate.
I think that's very accurate. The world continues to be amazing and weird.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Are you ready for Sponsor Your Life?
Honestly, what's been sponsoring my life lately is just generous and kind people bringing us meals and like just reaching out and caring for us. Because this past week, obviously, like it's been really crazy with adding a newborn, and then we had some issues with her gaining weight and like feeding correctly and everything, and so it was like kind of planning for groceries and meals and stuff just has not been on my mind at all.
It's been nice to not have to worry about that.
And I did meal prep a bunch of stuff, but I haven't really had to use it because we've had a pretty steady stream of people either delivering us meals or giving us DoorDash, and that's just really been super helpful. Because honestly, I will say this: after having 5 children, I've never said that before. I just thought about it. Is the most valuable thing you can do for someone is either help, like my sister did today, help take care of the house, help take care of the other kids and clean, or just provide a meal. That's the most tangible and helpful
when they
thing.
show up and they're like, here's a box, here's some, and it's really cool because people have been bringing, here's the food that I've cooked, and here's some groceries. Here's a thing of fruit and a gallon of milk or
Honestly, no one talks about the most expensive part of parenting, and that's all of the fruit you go through.
Oh my gosh,
our kids literally would eat their body weight. I mean, they would go through a whole bag of apples in a day if we let them.
$1 million lottery ticket or unlimited fruit.
I would choose unlimited fruit because honestly, that's what we go through.
Our boys love it.
I have been so grateful because every single person who has dropped off meals has brought fruit, and it's that's what we go through. We haven't had to go grocery shopping because people have brought lots of fruit. And we go through that in a half a week.
I love it. Yeah. And so the generosity of people,
just
meal
kindness.
Trains in general are just awesome.
That's where it's at.
That is where it's at.
How about you?
I'm going to go totally in a less, I'm just going to grab a thing that I enjoy. So I have been really enjoying my Moleskine notebooks.
Oh, nice.
I have a bunch of them. I collected a few of them for a while. I had one and then I lost it, so I got another one and then I found the first one, and so now I have a whole bunch of them.
The benefits of all of them.
Yeah, well, and someone gave me one that had a Bible verse on the cover as a gift recently, and I was like, all right, cool, because I had been using my digital notebook, which is a really useful thing, but I've been trying to use them more for journaling and devotions and all that kind of stuff, and I really enjoy it, and it's been fun, and so I've just been really enjoying the feel of a real notebook and a little bit nice. I used to do spiral notebooks like the old school, super cheapo college rule ones, but Moleskine notebooks are really nice. I love the feel of them, and they're really, really classy, and they're fun to work with, and I've been using them a lot in various creative projects. Yeah.
Very cool.
Things. So cool. That's been sponsoring my life lately.
It's a good sponsor.
All right, you ready for our new hot topic?
For sure.
All right, so I thought of an awesome game, and I'm really excited to bring that in next week because I didn't finish prepping for it this week, but I'll have it ready for next week. But for today, we're going to dive into another hot topic. We kicked this off last week with a new thing where we pick a topic and we just talk about it. And so last week we talked about, what did we talk about? Oh, famous people who disappoint us, right? Yeah. So today I want to talk about AI because it's everywhere right now, and there's all kinds of news stories, and I couldn't really pick one, but I just feel like it's a big topic. Well, it's in everything, right? But I'm wondering first how you feel about it and whether it's fun or not. And so AI in art or music, film, comedy, or even sermons. And so I have 3 different news stories. Okay. First is that there was an AI influencer. There was an Instagram or TikTok influencer who gathered hundreds of thousands of followers, and she was this phenomenon. Look at all these people following this person, and it turns out she was AI generated. The person, everything she did, what she said, what she looked like, everything was totally fake. There was not a real human being there. Wow. And I thought that was crazy. I was like, whoa. Crazy. So there's that story. Then the second story was not so much a story as I recently downloaded one of those AI photo editors just for fun, and we did a free trial. And the boys and I spent a whole morning taking old photos and messing with them. And they had a great time. It was look, here's a selfie of us if we were the Beatles, or here's a selfie of us if we were spray painted on a wall, or if we were made of Legos.
Or superheroes or whatever. Yeah, they really got a kick out of that.
It was so dumb and so fun and goofy, but it was almost just filters on Instagram, but way more, Right. But then, so those are 2 of the stories. And then there's stories about law firms or Amazon or different companies using AI. So what's your feelings on AI?
I'm very wary.
Very wary. I
don't know. I think I can see where there could be benefits,
Yeah.
but there's so many cons to it too. Like a lot of there's some pros, but a lot of cons. Like I just feel like it's kind of sticky, and in certain situations, like definitely not appropriate to have / use. Like you were mentioning sermons, like AI generated sermon, like that's terrifying.
Not okay.
Like it's not because there's no check and balance. Like it's not necessarily always going to pull. It's just risky to me. I think it could be really problematic. And then you have people sharing things and they don't know if it's, original content from someone or just AI generated.
Fake. Yeah, you don't even know.
Yeah. I'm not like a huge fan of it, but I realize this is, quote, the future and it's going to happen whether or not.
It's true. I do think it's here to stay. It's a technology that will be immensely helpful. One of my things, and this has been a rant of mine, not just on AI, but in tons of different areas, it's like we don't need things to come to us easier.
No.
Right? Like
nothing good happens when something is easy.
Yeah. So I think about like, there's a... sorry, this is a silly example, but Mark Driscoll, the pastor, they talk about his rise to fame, and it was like he didn't do the hard work of building a church. He planted a church, but his platform became so big so quickly, he didn't develop the character he needed to be that kind of leader. A lot of these big megachurch pastors, it took them like 30 years to build up their church, and they had to grind, and they had to try and succeed and then fail and then succeed, and and it that builds up your character. But when your platform explodes so fast, you create this kind of one-sided, lopsided character. And I think that applies to a ton of different stuff. It's like
absolutely.
When if you are overweight, right, and you don't do the work of exercise and getting in the habits of eating healthy, and you just go in and like do a surgery and take off all the fat, and it's like, okay, but if you don't make the necessary life changes, that's not going to work. You have to. It's better in a way
to go through the process.
Yeah, the process is what builds the character of who you are. I'm not saying some people have extreme situations where surgery is necessary, and then you build your habits after that. But I just think like in everything, easier is not always best. And I think AI is one of those. Like writing a sermon. And AI, even if the sermon was gorgeous and theologically accurate, the pastor didn't go through the devotional exercise of writing it. And that's a problem.
We have become such a culture of ease. Like, we don't want to do something if it's difficult. Yeah. And that applies, like you said, to so many areas. Like, I want to find the root cause of my issues with something medical. Oh, I'll just take a pill for it. It's way easier to take a pill than it is to find the issue. To adjust my lifestyle. Or any area of our life. Like, it's so much harder to, to grow and do all those things. And, I mean... It's way easier to just kick back and be like, nah, there's an easy fix for it.
Well, and I think that products that make life easier can be wonderful.
Yes,
if
absolutely.
You pair that with, all right, but what am I going to do with that free time? Right? Like if, let's say a project is going to take me 10 hours and now I have a new technology, I get it done in an hour. I think what determines whether that technology is good or bad for your soul is what you do with the 9 hours you just got back. Are you going to sit on the couch for 9 hours?
Invest it wisely, or
and I'm not saying you can't rest, but like also go do things that build you as a person. Invest in some habits and hobbies. And I would say like when it comes to musicians, I am concerned. Voice actors, real actors, all that kind of stuff. And then I think about artists, like they can create so much art. And I saw this thing, it was a post, it was like, we don't need AI to make art. We need AI to do the menial tasks so more humans can do art.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. It kind of reminds us why we do what we do.
Right.
The other story that I hadn't mentioned yet was the really fascinating idea of the nightshade thing that I was talking about.
Oh, yeah,
do you remember that?
Yeah.
So for the listeners, there was a story I read recently about how artists, digital content creators, are fighting back against AI. They're basically, and I don't really understand the technology of it, but they're putting viruses in their digital art so that when AI data mines and takes their art, it messes up AI's ability to do work. And people are like, this is malicious, this is terrible that artists would do that. And it's like, well, if AI wasn't stealing their art, then they would be okay. And they were comparing it to the ink packets that are inside bank bags of money.
Yep.
And it's like, you took my money, you can't get mad at me for putting ink all over the money because you're the one who stole it.
Yeah.
If you hadn't stolen it, then it wouldn't even,
Right.
if you don't take my art, then you won't get this virus or whatever.
Right.
But I do think it's sort of illustrative. It gives us a picture of what it's going to be in the next few years.
Yeah.
There's going to be some digital warfare as we kind of go back and forth and decide what the social rules are.
That's true. That is interesting because it could be, I mean, it's just, it's so easy to then just steal other people's stuff. I mean, it's already kind of easy sometimes for people to steal others' work, but for AI to go and it's
just a mess.
Dangerous.
Yep.
It's a dangerous world for content creators.
Here's an interesting idea. Like dating apps where people meet each other.
Yep.
Do you remember? It's not Romeo and Juliet, is it? What's the story where the guy is like whispering to the guy from the bushes what to say to the woman he loves? Is that Romeo and Juliet? What is that?
I don't think so.
There's a story. I can't remember. Oh man, listeners, you can tell us what it was. Where one guy likes a girl and he's really nervous, and so he has his clever buddy. I think it's Shakespeare, but I don't know which one.
Boy, it's been a long time.
Right, and the buddy's in the bushes, and he's like whispering, "Say this line."
Yeah.
And that guy speaks it up to, I thought it was Romeo and Juliet, but I don't think so, though. I think you're right. It's someone else. Like, what if you're using AI to help you talk to girls? Like, I don't know what to say in this text message, so you have AI write your beautiful poetic I just don't think we're that far off.
It's going to be pretty clear once the person actually meets you that they're like, oh, this person's bad.
You're not like that at all.
That would be weird.
That is very weird. AI has the capacity to make our lives so much easier. And I'm not sure that's going to be good for us. Yeah. That's kind of my big line is...
Just proceed with caution.
Yeah.
Just proceed with caution. Use discernment, It's
kind of like the invention of the couch. What's that whole thing about how humans aren't supposed to sit down as much as we do?
God created humans for movement. Like, we were literally made to be gardeners. And instead, we've created couches. And now our bodies are just deteriorating because we just sit around and we don't move like we're supposed to.
It's fascinating because I love my couch. I sit down all the time and I lounge in weird positions and I'm like, I cannot imagine being on my feet all the time.
It's terrible for your body to sit around like that.
Yeah.
They say the more active you stay, the healthier you will be and the longer you will live. Like, no joke. Like, honestly, my grandma's 97 years old. Like, she's not as mobile as she used to be, but
she's a mover.
She has always been very active, and that I honestly think like has kept her.
Why she's still, happy.
she now she's a little bit more immobile because she has some health concerns. But like, I mean, you would never be able to tell that she's 97 years old. Like, she is,
No, she's spry.
Still, yeah, she's just so on. And it's interesting because even up until my grandpa his health went downhill. I mean, he was a very active person.
Yes.
Able to do lots of stuff, able to move around. And I mean, he walked all the time. He would walk every day. He would stay active. He was still mowing the lawn until he had his heart attack. He was still, very, very, avid and doing things, bowling and golfing and all this stuff. It's like, if you stay active, it actually helps you live longer because you're, moving. But once you start sitting around and you start to become a little bit more, immobile, it's like, it's harder on your health. So
it really is. And I just think there's so much evidence for it. And yet socially we ignore it. We're like, yes, if you're active, you'll be healthier. Now let me binge this new TV show. Like we just, I don't know. I am concerned. And I just think
proceed
AI
with caution.
is going to have that similar effect on our bodies, but on our minds, right? Like, we don't need to think anymore. It will think for us. And
it will do the hard work for us.
But I really think like the brain is like a muscle. You got to develop it. You have to engage it and use it. Otherwise, it will atrophy, and you'll have like flabby muscles up in your head.
There's a visual.
That was a dumb thing to say.
Flabby
you know what I mean, though, right? Like,
how are your flabby muscles in your head doing today? Well, they're deteriorating.
Brain muscles are flabby and out of shape. I gotta do some brain curls.
Brain curls. Let me know how that goes.
I'm just
for you.
digging my hole in the metaphor
you really
here.
Are.
And so I've been thinking more and more about that because you think like, all right, if you win the lottery, what are you going to do if you could do anything? And I think so many of us think of leisure activities, but we don't think of growth. We don't think of like, what are my dreams of, like if you didn't have to work anymore, if your immediate things were taken care of, like your food, like, you know, people have talked about universal basic income. What if everybody had enough money to provide food on the table, roof over their head?
But I mean, what is the purpose of life then? Like, what is the point? Like, and honestly, that sounds so depressing. Like, if I just had an easy button where I could be like, my kids don't really need anything. They can just take, you know, something can take care of them.
Yep.
Because, like, we find purpose in the projects. We find, you know, the value is in the work that we do for a greater good.
And I wish I could say that, like,
why would we want it to be so easy that we don't even have to do it?
Well, and I wish I could say that if everything was taken care of, everyone has all their needs taken care of, that people would flourish, that they would pursue their interests, that they would find their purpose, that they would go.
They would still find something to complain about.
Well, and mostly they don't, though. The evidence has been when things are all taken care of, we turn into little Jabba the Hutts. You know, we just kind of lounge and do nothing. And
I mean, look what happened when it was so easy because we all have smartphones. Now we all spend apparently an average of 5.4 hours a day on our smartphones.
Have to pay you to put it away.
Eat healthier. Stop playing with your phone.
We need you to survive.
But honestly, like I mean, just because it's like easier and more accessible now, it doesn't make our life better. If anything, it's actually worse for us. Like, our health is horrible. Like,
well, and so I know that, like,
mental health and physical health.
Truly. And I think I know a lot of proponents say, you know, if you would just give people their basic needs, then they would. I mean, this is almost turning into a political comment, but it's like, if you give people their basic needs, they can then flourish.
Yep.
And I want that. I want to believe that, because I think we have all the resources. Nobody needs to starve to death. No one needs to die, you know, like before their time or whatever. Like, we have all the things we need to help so many people. Yep. However, what we've seen is that when you provide this, there's big chunks of our society that just slide into just almost like purposeless drifting. You know, they're just sort of existing and consuming content, and that's all they do. And it's like the grind of having to work pushes us to still develop. You know, it's like without that grind, I wish, because I think we will soon, maybe in the next 50 years or so, we're going to get rid of the grind. Humans will be able to exist and subsist without doing anything. And I hope that we can kind of develop our emotional character and our psychological mentality so that we can flourish. It would be wonderful if you could wake up every day, not have to worry about sustenance, but pursue your purpose. What did God put you on this earth to do? What did God put you on this earth to create? And you go and do that. But I don't think that's where we're headed. No, I think we're headed into
even further into what's comfortable and fun and
like Wall-E.
Yeah, from me. Yeah,
we're gonna be
floating
in those little floating chairs with the screens in front of our faces. That's where I think we're
terrifying. But yeah, I think you're right. It's just horrifying.
But it is interesting, you know. And so AI's coming. I don't think there's any. I'm not interested in like boycotts or like run away from it. It's here. It is changing people's lives. It is getting rid of a lot of the drudgery, and that's good. But I just think we all need to really have that heart to heart, and honestly, it's a personal conversation with God of, God, why did you put me on this earth? And when I'm no longer worried about how I'm going to feed myself, clothe myself, or have a roof over my head, that should free us. Yeah, you know, like I would love to think it would actually be good, but I am wary.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a
fascinating topic. And for now, I'm going to enjoy the filters.
Yeah. I'll let you enjoy the filters.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for all of that. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We love making this little podcast, and we do hope that you appreciate it. If you want to head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a review. On Spotify, give us 5 stars. On Apple, you can actually write out a review. And, of course, if you do that, we will read it out loud on the podcast because we love celebrating those who are nice to us. Or mean. I'll read a bad podcast review. We haven't had any of those yet, but it could be there.
It's always possible.
Thank you so much to whoever that guy is who made our theme song. We're very grateful. And are you ready to send us out with the mom joke of the week?
Yes. So today we have a Disney-themed
I love
joke. Which Disney princess is the funniest?
Let me think about this. I bet there's a real... I'm trying to make a pun out of their names, like Rapunzel. Is it Rapunzel?
That was way too fast. Okay, I have a second for you because you got that one.
Wait. What's the pun though? I don't get
Rapunzel.
Oh, the pun. I just thought her name was funny. I did not catch the word
Rapunzel. Okay, nice. All right. Here's the
I'm proud of myself.
Which Disney princess would make the best judge?
I don't know.
Snow White, because she's the fairest of them all.
Oh, nice. I did actually think Snow White, but I couldn't come up with a reason. I was like, Snow White because she's a queen and she needs to be a good leader.
She's the queen. Logical. That doesn't make any sense.
Like, nope, that's not right.
Oh boy, okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see.
Rapunzel. You really didn't catch that?
I did not.
Oh.
I was like, what name sounds fun? Rapunzel. Gesundheit.